The situation we have is a breach of the public trust and a loss of confidence in a critical piece of legislation that affects every member in this House and how everyone views us and the work that we do. How serious is this as an issue? That the Assembly should discuss it? Well, I think it's a very serious issue. For example, if this particular MLA or any MLA had knowingly breached this Act without the knowledge of the Ethics Commissioner, according to the Conflict of Interest Act, they are subject to a $50,000 fine. So I think that is underlining how seriously it was intended that cooling off period be taken. And that fine is specific to breaching the cooling off period in the Conflict of Interest Act. So clearly it was meant to be taken very seriously. We have, how seriously do I take this? Well, we have the Commissioner in question stating publicly that the member was, and I've got air quotes happening here, a member of the family, which is why, Mr. Speaker, I did table a copy of a newspaper article, which I wouldn't usually do, but it is referenced a number of times in here. It's the Ethics Commissioner's own words, and he has not disputed that this is inaccurate in any way, shape, or form. But he does go on to say that the member was within the family, within the government family, which, as you well know, Mr. Speaker, is only involving members who are on the side that elects the most members and forms government. So that rather sets up a difference between that member and other members of this Assembly. And that in itself, I would argue, is a breach when we're talking about private members. He does go on and get quoted quite a bit about how he believes that it's okay to be a member of the government family and there's no conflict of interest there. I think that needs to be discussed by these members because it affects all of us. Part of the criteria for decision is page 695 in the House of Commons Procedures and Practice, and that is a timetable of this House has prevented or whether a timetable of the House has prevented any discussion in a timely manner. And I'll also just note that it says events which have taken place in the past, in that they might precipitate a course of conduct which, if allowed to continue unchecked, would certainly classify itself as an emergency and of pressing consideration. And I argue that that is also relevant in this particular matter. So I ask the Speaker to find that this is a matter of urgency and should be able to be debated by the Assembly. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.